Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Tony Kirkman is the Executive Director of the Piatt County Mental Health Center, our guest on the Zoom today. Good to see you, Tony. How are you, my friend?
Good morning, Mr. Seth. Thank you for having me.
For sure, yeah. Thanks for making time for us. It's always good to have you on the program. And Tony, I'll tell you what, let's dive right into it. I know last few visits, you and I have really, like the 708 board has kind of taken a back seat as, you know, they just kind of build some momentum. But I know that they're going to start thinking about that first installment of collection of tax dollars that are coming their way here in the next few months. What's the latest with the 708 Mental Health Board there in Piatt County?
Yeah, so Seth, thanks for following up on this one. We're pretty excited, obviously, as your listeners know. The 708 mental health referendum passed in the November election by almost 60% in Piatt County, which was fantastic. It means that agencies like myself, that their service rates encounters do not pay for the actual expense, will hopefully now have an opportunity to continue to provide services for those in the marginalized communities, and for us to look at some innovative ways to improve access to our community. So that all happened in November, and immediately within 60 days, we're to build a 708 mental health board of at least 7 members of the community. I was very thankful that the individuals that we reached out to accepted the invitation, and that we were able to move pretty expediently with the help of the Piatt County Board to get this Piatt County Mental Health Board. I got to always make sure I'm getting Piatt County Board, Mental Health Center, and Mental Health Board. They're all kind of jammed together. But the Piatt County Mental Health Board met in the end of January. They built a whole bunch of protocol stuff as far as how the board's to function, what their bylaws look like, what are some of the roles and responsibilities, and then also appointed officers. So as of right now, our 708 Mental Health Board president is somebody that both residents in Piatt and DeWitt County would know. That's our public health director, Mr. Michael Schroeder. He's the president, and then there are 7 other individuals that are appointed. We have our second meeting that'll be coming up in less than a month, and that's really the bread and butter of kind of what you were talking about, Seth, is July is going to be when the collection of the first amount of tax revenue for 708 happens. So there's going to be a review of what are we going to ask applicants? Like, what's the relationship between the 708 board? So what are some of the information and some of the reporting that we want back from funders? And then the exciting part is opening up the applications, hopefully in July or August, so that we can start funding providers at the end of this calendar year. Mm-hmm. So it'll be an exciting time, and looking forward to residents being able to rely upon behavioral health, substance use, and developmental support services.
So what has your role been in all of this, Tony? Are you in attendance of these meetings? Are you guiding this board along the way? What has your role been in all of this?
So I'm more of a facilitator with the board. Is just I do all the boring stuff of talking to other 708 directors and saying, what does the order of operations look like? Do you have bylaws? What are your funding restrictions? What's your roles and responsibilities? And then I type up something and send it to the officers of Piatt County 708 and say, this is kind of what I'm thinking, and here's what the Community Mental Health Act of Illinois says. So I'm kind of painting the corners, and obviously I can't be of influence because our agency is trying to request funds. But I do want to make sure that the mental health board is established. It's well resourced, it's well built. That way it operates with transparency and objectivity for years to come.
Sure. Is there a conflict of interest there for you, that could be perceived from the outside, where it's like you're helping them out, I don't want to speak too freely here, but like you may end up being like the biggest receiver of the dollars that they bring in, things like that. How do you address those things? And, or is that even an issue at this point, I guess?
Yeah, no, I think Seth, I think it's a great question. And for your listeners, yeah, I think, I mean, let's just be honest. I was one of the main voices out there pushing for 708 because our agency runs almost $250,000 deficit, and I want to employ people and I want to serve people. And so I went out with the stories of saying, this is what your community mental health center is doing, and this is what it's at risk. So I need some assistance for supplemental funding. So yes, I would say I fully anticipate that we should be an eligible candidate for it. But yes, to your point, I've got to be very, very careful that I am not in the decision making. So a couple of the ways that is done is, although I might help them establish funding guidelines, I have no vote. I have no influence. Like I am all meetings there are open to the public. So I'm just helping them with the admin work. But ultimately I have no decision making with the 708 board. It's fully at those 8 individuals' discretion.
Got it. So Tony, with the 708 mental health board, I venture a guess maybe one of the hangups in trying to sell this was the fact that Piatt County taxpayers have to help fund this when really there's a large amount of people that probably believe this should be a state funded initiative given the amount of taxes that go to the state of Illinois for things like this.
Yeah, I'm one of those people, Seth. I think the state of Illinois should take care of behavioral health is a fundamental right. I believe it's clearly written in our Declaration of Independence, right? It's the right, the freedom to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The pursuit of which I think if you are trauma exposed, you have a barrier to your pursuit of happiness. And so healthcare, behavioral health is healthcare, and healthcare should be a fundamental right regardless of your ability to pay. We should care for our neighbors. So yes, I think the state of Illinois, I think the federal government should provide resources that aren't too administratively heavy, that allow the care for those that are in need. So it really is a shame that we have to do these levies because in my opinion, there's bloat in the government. Like it shouldn't be the government's job to build a really big organization. It should be the government's job to take care of its people.
Well, Tony, how much is this first installment of tax dollars going to be in Piatt County? And will this 708 board, will it distribute every penny of those dollars that it brings in? How will that work?
Yeah, so I mean, based upon estimated property tax projections, we're thinking this first installment is going to be somewhere around $300,000. So that will probably, there'll be a little bit of contingency funds that are set back. But the whole goal of that is, again, just kind of like we were just talking about for government, it's not to hold anything to have bloat to it. It is to be a pass-through agent to the facilities that can demonstrate that the 708 board is a payer of last resort. So if you have a big stockpile of finances, we're not going to feel sorry. You need to get into your reserves or have another funding mechanism. So that's a lot of the questions that are on the application. What's your main funding source? Have you tried other grants? Because the 708 has a limited capacity. It can't fund everything. And it needs to make sure that it's being fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars.
Do you foresee any initiatives in Piatt County or organizations receiving dollars from this board that would enhance what is available in Piatt County?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly would hope so. I mean,
anything specific come to mind, or are you not at liberty to speak on that?
Well, I think I can probably talk generally. So one is I can tell you from my agency, the Piatt County Mental Health Center had a wonderful partnership with 4 of the local school districts in Piatt County to provide a mental health therapist for the students, because we know the students recently, according to IYS, 30% of them still say that they have depression and anxiety that impacts their daily functioning. And we still have, sadly, young people ending their lives to suicide. And I think 1 is too many. So this could be a natural deterrent or a cathartic way to deal with that. So my plan is to present back to the 708 board that I would like for us to relook at that program, and then work with whatever partnering schools are available. So because quite frankly, Seth, there are a lot of students that, due to a lot of reasons, do not have access to behavioral health, whether it is time, whether it's ability to pay, whether it's maybe their parent or guardian is a barrier to them really needing to get their treatment. So what we're trying to figure out is instead of the consumer coming to us, let us go to the need. Let us come alongside our friends in the school district and see if we can be an extension of that. So when you ask about what are new initiatives, that's the one I'm presenting to the 708 board, of saying, if you would be willing to fund this, I think we could have very powerful student engagement numbers and some statistics. And then it's also looking at other marginalized groups of who else geographically, age-wise, payer source-wise are not being addressed through behavioral health, or even developmental services. Are there adaptive tools, opportunities? Because I want individuals with disabilities to live the most independent, fullest lives possible. So are there resources that we can come alongside the community of adults with disabilities to help them reach that level of autonomy?
When do you anticipate this process getting underway in terms of applications and interviews or presentations or whatever else comes along with this?
Yeah, I think the application period, and again, I have an opinion. I have no influence. I would think that the board should be in a position by July and August to have like a application window. That way they can make a decision in September or October and inform that fundee, so they can start looking at workforce development or equipment or whatever. So hopefully the board will publish that publicly in the local paper and other social media ways, and be able to look at how to fund some of those services from there.
Very good. Tony, I'll tell you what, my friend, let's break here, come back with some more. Tony Kirkman, Executive Director of the Piatt County Mental Health Center, our guest on the Zoom. More to come with Tony on The Morning Show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Tuesday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network. Corn starting the day slightly higher, beans lower, and Chicago wheat steady. May corn opening 486.5, up 1.5. July corn up 1 1/4, 494. December new crop 464 1/4, up 2 1/4. May beans starting the day 1033, down 8 3/4. July beans down 8 1/4, 1042. New crop November 1023, down 5 1/2. May Chicago wheat 547 3/4, up 1/4. July wheat is unchanged, 561 3/4. September wheat 576.5, unchanged. May bean meal 293 even, that's down 410. May bean oil 46.17, down 15 cents. Checking the opening numbers at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Tuesday morning. I'm Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network.
Spring is in the air, so it's time to choose your new Silverado. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton. We have a good selection of new Silverados with springtime savings and special finance rates. Choose from regular cabs, double cabs, or crew cabs in gas or diesel. We're also allowing extra money for your trade on all new Silverados this month. Silverado, together let's drive. See all our inventory at baumchevybuick.com. SiU.com right from the start.
SIU Family Medicine wants the best health for you and your family. Be a champion. Protect your loved ones. The SIU Center for Family Medicine of Lincoln is accepting new patients. Click their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com to schedule your appointment.
Hi, I'm Brett with Central Cremation Center, and we proudly serve all of Central Illinois. We offer the most affordable and convenient arrangements in the area with plans starting at just $795. Many of our plans are available by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Tony Kirkman, Executive Director of the Piatt County Mental Health Center, my guest on the Zoom today. And Tony, I know that you're a big reader. It feels like every time you come on or we chat, there's a new book you're reading. And, I just enjoy the fact that you've always got something fresh on your mind out of some of this material that you're consuming. And believe it or not, I was telling you about this off the air as you proposed it to me. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is really becoming a growing conversation right now. It's particularly centered around education and those sorts of things, but I venture a guess this is going to become a larger piece of conversation as we go forward in other sectors of our interviews and the people we talk to and society writ large. But how about just AI and mental health and wellness? How do these two things overlap?
Yeah, so Seth, I appreciate that. Yeah, you said it so kindly and gently to say I'm a book nerd. So I'm a self-proclaimed nerd, love to read books. Maybe next time I can share with you, I'm going through a book on Jewish customs and how it relates to Passover and the Easter holidays. So but that's for another meeting. But yeah, AI is interesting. Obviously introduced several years ago, and it's starting to bleed into other institutions. Right now, some of the ways we're using it here in the mental health center is really kind of superficially of like making sure our emails are tight and professional and objective. And so, you can run that through your simple, I think Pilot is one of the more well-known AIs, in addition to Chat GPT, as it applies to the workforce here. So I'm reading finished a book here, just simply called Essential, and how distributed teams, generative AI and global shifts are creating a new human-powered leadership. The book is saying that right now we're in this weird transition where we have blue collar and we have white collar, but that's going to go away a bit with AI, is because we're going to need somebody that has construction was one of the examples I used, is that for right now, construction will be the hottest job because for every 5 people that are leaving the construction field, 1 is replacing them. And so what we need is somebody that understands the basic components of what happens in construction and building, but can also interface with technology, with AI, because it's going to make things more efficient, but it's still not going to replace human perspective or human skills. So they're saying it's not going to be a gray collar or a blue collar or a white collar. It's going to need to be a gray collar worker. Somebody can do both. And so in the medical field right now, I mentioned to you briefly, is that in a lot of your medical appointments, some of the cutting edge technology is like a Dragon software that's listening to the patient as they're talking to their doctors or their counselor and a local consultant or a session. And then it's taking your the words that are spoken and examining it. So here in behavioral health, we're all concerned about frequency, duration, severity, and impact to your social occupational world. Like that, those are the big 4 that we're screening for to kind of put mental health symptoms in its place. AI is already doing that as you're talking and creating a case note and even proposing a diagnostic code. Mm-hmm. And then as they take that, then they also transfer some of that information into a treatment plan. So it's very interesting of where we're going in counseling. Now, again, AI is not perfect and it's flawed and it does require some oversight, but it is making things more efficient. My concern as a old school clinician is you're going to miss some of the nuances if you're just listening for the text of the word. And we see all kinds of stuff in session. If you're playing with your ring finger and you're talking about your marriage, you're tapping your toe about a sensitive topic. You keep shifting off of one certain topic when we're trying to work with you on that one. The funny joke at least I thought it was funny, was you and I talking about if we listen to our spouse and we ask them, "Sweetie, are you okay?" and they respond with, "I'm fine." AI is going to take that as this person as well, or content. But being married for over 20 years, I know "I'm fine" never means "I'm fine." So it's going to take out some of the human, what we call in counseling called person-centered first treatment. It's all person-driven. So one of my graduate professors said, you might hear depression 100 times a day, but remember that depression is unique to the individual. So the treatment plan should be unique to the individual. AI might miss some of that, but I think it's going to help with efficiency. It's going to make things a little bit more consistent. It's going to make things more time, save time, but there's still a lot of work to do there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting just to kind of watch this development of artificial intelligence. And I venture a guess, Tony, and I don't know what you think about it, but I got just a real quick second for your response. I venture a guess we're going to get to a point where we're going to have to balance the information we get from AI and the human element that you kind of spoke about there.
Yeah, absolutely. And really the staff that's related to it, because AI is going to shuffle jobs around.
Yeah.
It's not going to take everybody away, but there are certain functions right now that AI will help reduce. So trying to get a new skill set identified for our workforce.
Tony, best way for folks to learn about Piatt County Mental Health Center?
Give me a call, 217-762-5371. Check us out online, piattmhc.org, or always visit us on our Facebook page.
Tony Kirkman, Piatt County Mental Health Center, our guest. Network News is now.
The Big 1520 W.